Moments of silence have been observed and flowers laid in tribute to the three friends who were stabbed to death in a park in Reading on Saturday evening. All three have now been named. They were James Furlong, who was 36 years old and a teacher, Joe Ritchie-Bennett, 39, and a lawyer, and David Wails, 49, and a scientist. Police are still questioning the suspect, Khairi Saadallah, who was arrested under the Terrorism Act. He's originally from Libya and came to the UK in 2012. It's known that he came to the attention of MI5 sometime last year, but on investigation was not considered a threat. Our correspondent, Regina Vaidyanathan, has been talking to some of the friends and relatives of the victims today.
Back at school for the most painful of reasons. Through the morning, they left tributes to a teacher who always told his pupils to fly high. 36-year-old James Furlong was the head of history and politics at Holt School. With news of his death still sinking in, students and colleagues held a 2-minute silence.
As a Holt community, we all now need to absorb this sad news. Our thoughts are with his mum, his dad, his brother and his family, and his friends and colleagues. He was a cherished colleague and he will be very sadly missed. Thank you.
14-year-old Lucy last saw Mr. Furlong at a history lesson before lockdown.
Well, first he told us everything was going to be fine, Corona's going to end and we're going to see him again. But we're not really, are we? We're not going to see him again.
Former pupils also came to pay their respects.
I came back today because I feel like I had a really personal connection with Mr. Furlong. He was one of the teachers who was always there for me. The person who tried to put a smile on everyone's faces. He used to come in and dress up as Henry VIII. He had really funny catchphrases. He always made us laugh.
James Furlong was in this park in Reading on Saturday when he was stabbed to death. Today it was confirmed his friend Joe Ritchie-Bennett was killed alongside him, an American who'd lived in the UK for 15 years. BBC Radio Berkshire presenter Sarah Walker was a close friend. She delivered this on-air tribute.
And it matters to me today that you know that Joe lived a great life. He was loved by so many people, and he made us all feel that life was a much better place with him in it.
Tonight, the third victim of the attack has also been named, 49-year-old David Wails.
He was always happy. Everyone had their problems, but he always left that at the door when he walked into the pub. It always made people smile.
And at the Reading pub, where the three friends were regulars, an outpouring of togetherness.
The LGBT+ community and our allies here in Reading are a close family, and we're stood here outside the Blagrave, a place we call home, and a safe space for so many members of our community.
There's a real sense of loss here, but tonight friends of James, Joe and David are here to celebrate their lives. In the words of one of the floral tributes here, they were the kindest, most genuine, most loveliest people in our community. Three friends who've just gone for a catch-up in the sunshine. 3 lives taken too soon. Regina Vaidyanathan, BBC News, Reading.
Well, as we heard there from Regina, police are still holding a 25-year-old Libyan man following Saturday's attack in Reading. Khairi Saadallah was initially arrested on suspicion of murder and later re-arrested under the Terrorism Act. Well, police were called to Forbury Gardens at around 7 o'clock on Saturday evening following reports that a number of people had been stabbed. Around a dozen armed officers with shields were seen later that evening entering a block of flats in Basingstoke Road, and that was around 11 o'clock. From Reading, our Home Affairs correspondent Daniel Sanford has sent this report.
This is thought to be the moment, just minutes after the attack on Saturday night, that unarmed police officers detained the man suspected of killing the three friends. But the careful process of gathering and examining evidence for the investigation, being run by counter-terrorism policing, is still at an early stage. Nobody has yet been charged. The Home Secretary, Priti Patel, was in Reading this morning to lay flowers, to meet the officers, some of them student officers, that she said ran towards danger, and to discuss what is known about the man in custody.
We have to look at all aspects of this individual's history, which dates back over several years. I think we should be clear about, the origins, the information. That's part of the intelligence gathering and obviously the picture that has to be put together.
The suspect, Khairi Saadallah, is 25 years old and Libyan. He came to the UK in 2012 and claimed asylum. He was allowed to stay here permanently when he was given leave to remain in 2018. He came to the attention of MI5 last year as someone who might take part in terrorism overseas, but they assessed that he was not a genuine threat or an immediate risk. Neighbours said he threw a TV from his top-floor flat this year and had a mental health key worker. Khairi Saadallah's family told us that he originally left Libya to escape the violence there and because he was suffering from post-traumatic stress from the civil war, though he had been thinking of trying to return. They said that his long-standing mental health problems had been exacerbated by the coronavirus lockdown. Stuart Wright knew Khairi Saadallah well and saw him the night before the attack. He told me the suspect had an unusual manner.
Doesn't talk about a lot, doesn't joke a lot, just seems to be quite emotionless in his face. Very, like he's almost not there.
An eyewitness has told the BBC that the knife man walked through the park before attacking the group of gay men sitting on the grass. One friend said a member of the public bravely chased the attacker away. While Reading town centre remains dominated by police tape and forensics teams, faith leaders came together to pay tribute to the dead friends.
Our prayers are very much with the people who have died as a result of this terrible stabbing. Our prayers too with the survivors who are recovering.
We're not going to let something like this come into our community, so any form of terrorism, any form it takes, we will stamp that out.
They said they would say prayers too for the attacker, that he would see the evil of his ways. And speaking to a close member of Khairi Saadallah's family, they're clearly devastated by what has happened and by his arrest. They said they were thinking of every family that was mourning and it was breaking their heart. And they stressed again that Khairi Saadallah had been suffering from mental health problems for many years and that these seem to have been caused by his experiences during the civil war in Libya. Hugh.
Daniel, thank you for the latest there. Daniel Sanford, our Home Affairs correspondent in Reading.